Okay, guys, if you missed the last segment, we just talked about how to protect your peace without quitting your job. Dr. Nee had a few choice words about how to essentially stay sane. In this next segment, we are going to be talking about...
Let's go to our next question. All right, our next question is from Ken. Ken actually sent us a text message through Textaful or through our text thing, whatever you call it. I forget what it is. Anyway, it's a question about physician assistant locums company, which I'm surprised there's not one out right now. And it says, hi.
I mean, there is.
I'm currently a PA student at the University of Washington. I've been watching your videos and I want to create a locum tenens agency. I have a question. What is the networking process like? For instance, how do I connect with hospitals to work with my company? And what information should I have available before even contacting the hospital? Should I also have medical professionals on standby before contacting the hospital? Dr. Renee, what say you?
That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think, certainly networking at different conferences will help you, going to conferences where you have physicians, going to conferences where, your your hospital administrators kind of frequent as well. I'm not too familiar with those, but and then going even locums conferences, right? There are some locums conferences as well, so that you can learn the ropes, because they will, do all kinds of presentations and things like that, so you can kind of see what's going on and, kind of what the lay of the land is for locums. So I would definitely at least start there, start going to some conferences. As far as standby, yeah, you should always have, a few friends who are down if you say, listen, I have a hospital that I'd like, for you guys to go to. I'm in the works with those people, X, Y, and Z. And that way you can kind of use that leverage, if you will, for the hospital to say, hey, you're somebody who we want to work with because we need to cover so much ground, and you have a bunch of people that come with you. You got 3-4 people that come with you. So we're going to be able to cover our service. I think that's fine. I think you have a good idea on that one.
For Ken, I would want a little bit more information. The biggest thing I would want from Ken is, do you plan on doing a physician assistant residency afterwards? The reason why I asked this question is because the majority of physician assistants, there is no residency. Their first job or what they do on the job is on the job training, right? So if you want to go into trauma, it's going to take several years before you really get up to speed as to what is expected of you, what to do, your procedures, all those different things. With that being said, I think what you should really focus on is really graduating first, right? And then making sure that you're as trained as possible. And the way in which I would suggest that you network with hospitals or work with hospitals and convince them to work with your company, particularly in this situation, is to show what you can do first, right? Make sure that you have a group of medical professionals, particularly other PAs, who are trained also, because that's what I see is what a lot of hospitals are looking for. They're looking for a PA who they can plug and patch, right? Not a PA who they can plug in and have to teach up, and then possibly that person may have to leave. So Ken, I would say make sure that you get the best training that you can get first. Maybe put yourself out there as a locum tenens. After you get that training, go to different facilities, different hospitals, and say, hey, I actually have a group of other PAs who work, and are trained just as well as me, and this is what we do, and go from there. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not as easy as just saying you have a locum tenens company.
Right.
One of the things that you have to deal with from a perspective of being a medical professional is dealing with the cynicism that the hospital has with working with you. And you may not understand what I mean, but what I mean by this is, once they realize that you're a medical professional, there's a bit of cynicism that the hospital will have with working with you. They may not take you seriously. They may offer you cheap rates. They may offer, they just may not be
the runaround.
They give you the runaround. Whereas if you were, an MBA, or if you had, or excuse me, if you had somebody who was
You have
literally
no
just an
knowledge of
MBA,
medicine, basically.
just an MBA, or somebody who, like you said, has no knowledge of medicine, but comes
Mm-hmm.
to them as a straight business perspective,
Yep.
they'll take that person way more seriously than they will with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yep.
So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind is that,
Mm-hmm.
listen, I get it that you're at the University of Washington. I would knock it out the park. I would make sure you get the best experience if possible. Go ahead and do a residency if you think you need to.
Yep.
And then from there, that's how you start building that's how you start networking is you start
Right.
basically going to different hospitals and showing what you can do. And then you start working as a locums, right? And in essence, your agency is just you. And then eventually you start bringing more and more and more and more people to come in. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
would do.
Right.
And then listen, like guys, we've answered this question, not this question specifically, but we've answered a lot of questions about people who are in residency, folks who are attendings who want to start their own locums company or locums agency. That's the big in vogue thing right now,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And we will put in the show notes all the other times where we've answered this question and even given more detailed step by step on what we did to start our own locums company and locums agency. So
Mm-hmm.
Ken, I appreciate you writing in. So,
Yeah. That was straightforward.
yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward because we've answered this question a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, we've answered this question a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's always, you know, it's always kind of interesting to me that people want to start locum tenens agencies, you know? And that says to me that they're kind of out there feeling like, you know, they can do it. They can do it themselves, right? Maybe they've worked with locums companies and they felt like, you know what? I could probably do this for myself and, you know, maybe be more efficient at it or, you know, be paid more, right? Because once you cut out the middleman, you get paid more. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a
yeah,
good thing.
I think, as much as, we talk about locums, anytime you have something that's really new that's coming out, you're going to have, there's going to be times where you have to be really careful about who you work with,
Mhm.
which agency you work with. Because I'll be honest with you too, just because a doctor or just because a PA is running a locums agency doesn't mean that you won't get ripped off, right? You got to
This
be
is
really
true.
careful. Business is business, y'all.
Business is business.
Business is business, and
Mm-mm.
people or companies, they're trying to maximize profits. The
Yeah.
key thing is going back to, even that previous question, which is we talked about redefining success. It's
Hmm.
almost like redefining like what's important to you, redefining how you're making money,
Yeah.
right? And just being really intentional with your career because if you are not dictating a like I want to be able to have these type of credentials, then I
Hmm.
want to be able to work at these type of hospitals and I don't
Right.
want to have debt and all these different things. If I don't do some of those things,
Hmm.
someone is going to be, like you say, someone is going to be dictating your schedule,
Hmm.
right? These are things that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Mm-mm-mm. Thank you so much.
Especially because you
Well, listen,
quoted me.
you say a lot of really like you're very good at saying at these sayings and stuff. I have to give you props for that. Give you
Thank
props.
you.
Mhm.
Heartsies.
Artsies. All right, Dr. Renee, is there anything else you want to add on this episode?
What kind of spider would make your feet tingle at the bottom? That's what I want to know.
You sure it
Somebody
was a spider?
listen, look, I got these two bite marks right here. I don't
Oh,
know.
work husband. I mean, that's what you want to say. What's the test for syphilis? Somebody write that in.
RPR, VDRL.
Hmm. Is that a swab or is that blood draw?
Blood draw.
Hmm.
Then
Well,
you start doing
hmm.
titers.
Anyway, this ain't a medical show. This is a lifestyle
This
show.
really ain't.
But guys, we do this to you. everybody who's watching on YouTube and listening on DSPs, we heart you too. We love you. Thank you for listening. Remember, you could always leave us a voicemail, leave us a DM, and you might get your question or your voicemail played on the show. And we always appreciate y'all.
Send us a video y'all working out.
Yeah, we're gonna catch you guys. We're gonna catch you guys on the next. I was gonna say something bad. We're gonna catch you guys on the next episode of Docs Outside the Box, y'all. Peace.
Bye.